So we went from doing webinars monthly to doing webinars weekly, and we scaled the shit out of our clients' businesses as well as our own. So the premise of this video, essentially what I'm going to explain to you, is why doing webinars once a month, if you have a working webinar funnel, is retarded as someone who literally used to do this, okay? This is coming from me. I run a done-for-you agency that only offers webinars as a service. We literally do not do anything else, so I plead you listen to me on this because it will make you exponentially more money. So here's some context of this video, why I'm making this video. So like I said, we used to offer basically done-for-you webinar funnel services that we would then run it for people kind of whenever they wanted to, which was roughly once every single month because our clients were mainly organic. And a few months ago, we switched to doing cold traffic weekly webinars and a warm webinar every 5 weeks. And in this video, I'm going to show you why running webinars in any other way other than this configuration is retarded. So the table of contents, I'm going to tell you who I am, how this switch came about, like why we switched from doing monthly, why it will make you more money, how to make the switch, and then how you can pay me and my team to either do this for you or do this with you. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Charlie McCormack. Like I said, I run a done-for-you webinar agency called Webinar Wizards, and we also have an advisory and a consulting offer where we show you how to do what we're doing for our clients in the agency for either your business or for your clients' businesses. I've been running this agency for about 18 months now. We've done over 4 million GBP for our done-for-you clients alone, and I don't even know how many millions our consulting clients have gone on to make from webinars. Here's some quick proof. Piff. Consulting client, average webinar, 56K. We're doing this a lot of the fucking time. 2 piffs already today, 7 piffs this week. Here, 24K ad spend into 177K. That's GBP, and that's 177K in profit as well. Not revenue, 202 in fucking revenue, right? And we also run webinars ourselves, and I spend my own money on this shit, right? To scale our business because we're good at it and it works. So we have a done-for-you offer, an advisory offer. If you want to join the waitlist for our next workshop, you can do so. There's links in the description for that. So here's why this will make you more money, okay? So I want to show you that if you're currently thinking about doing webinars and you're planning on doing them just organically, or you're already doing monthly webinars, or maybe you're doing it with paid or monthly or whatever configuration you're doing that isn't the configuration I'm about to show you in this video, why you should change to doing it once a week, how it will scale the shit out of your business, and why it won't affect what you're doing organically. Now, why is this important? Because if you have a webinar funnel or you know that webinars are hyper profitable, why would you only do it once a month? Why would you not do it a minimum of at least once a week? So with some of our clients, we're gearing up to go to twice a week. So like Wednesday and Sunday or Wednesday and Thursday or whatever configuration the clients want to do. So that's 8x the webinar volume for certain clients than what we were doing before, because if the webinar is so profitable, then why don't we do it often? Like obviously there's going to be complications with the sales team and when you're booking calls, but if it makes you more money and you want to make more money, then you should do this, okay? So this is essentially what it looks like. So how this switch actually came about. So we only did monthly or bi-weekly webinars until we had a client who's still under an NDA with us, but we're going to do a case study with him soon, who came to us in late November and December. So I'm recording this video in March. They basically had no organic audience, and we'd only really work with people who had some sort of organic audience in the past as the primary driver traffic to these webinars. They had a YouTube channel with a podcast on it, but it's not even like a proper podcast. It didn't even drive that much traffic. So we came to the conclusion that we should try this weekly webinar thing because we've been thinking about it for a while, where we were only using paid advertising because we didn't need to worry about pissing people's audience off, because that was the limiting belief that I used to have. So I used to think if we did a webinar more than once a month to an organic audience, and this is still valid right now, that it would piss them off. So what did we do? We simply just started to exclude the organic audience on Meta, and that was the job done. So basically in November, December last year, like 4 or 5 months ago, we hyper scaled and ramped up the volume of webinars that we were doing for clients and the way that we were pushing traffic to them. So we pretty much moved from only doing organic with paid as a supplement to only doing paid with organic as a supplement. And when I say that we hyper scaled this up, with some clients, we started doing a webinar every single day, okay? And I'm not telling you to do this every single day. This is not advice, right? But this is to demonstrate how eager I was to actually make this shift. And we actually switched our entire core offer to doing weekly webinars. So we had a lot of success doing monthly webinars. And this was the cadence that I basically got advised on by like mentors and coaching programs and stuff when I first started doing webinars, because they said it was the best cadence. And that was also because the way that I got into this was like working with creators, the whole growth operating thing, like, but not even really the growth operating thing. It was copywriting at first, but then you kind of evolve into being a growth operator or whatever the fuck that is, right? But they had organic audiences, right? But if you did it more than once a month, the audience would just get pissed off. It was less sexy. People didn't want to sign up for it. You just didn't get as many signups, and you also couldn't really do the same presentation or have the same core value proposition of the webinar to an organic audience all the time. So you needed to keep it fresh, which meant that we kept having to make a new presentation, a new funnel, a new VSL, new ads. We couldn't really test anything, right? So if you can't test anything, if the show rate's good on one of them, you don't know why. Or if the signups are good on one of them, you don't know why. Same goes if they are bad. So it was just super unpredictable, right? So So here's what you actually have to think about with webinars, right? The purpose of a webinar and the reason a webinar performs so well in comparison to other funnels is that when you take someone you don't know and you get them to watch a 90-minute presentation, consume all of that, and you can make an offer to them straight away, you can just collapse your sales cycles so much and sell to your TAM so much more quickly. Like, yes, the organic ones rip, but if you see people on Instagram saying like, oh yeah, we're doing like 6 figures a Webby, like how often are they doing it? And ask them how much they spent on ads. Because if they didn't spend any money on ads, it's organic. It's literally just like asking your mate to go to the pub with you, who you've already been friends with for like 3 or 4 years. He's not going to say no if they already follow you and then you put them through a 90-minute presentation. Like, yeah, they're going to book a call and yeah, they're probably going to fucking pay, right? You just made them an offer. They've already been watching you for ages. But if you walked up to a stranger on the street and then asked them to go to the pub with you, unless you're in like a friendly town in the UK, or if they're already pissed and they're just like, oh yeah, let's go to the pub, they're probably going to tell you to fuck off, right? So this is the premise of doing webinars to cold traffic, right? Versus organic. So you need something that is scalable, and this is how webinars perform best, which is to cold. So we've simply just started doing this for all of our clients, and then they can just do whatever they're doing like as daily booking calls. So whether that be a call funnel, whether that's YouTube, whether they're using a profile funnel, DM setting, whatever they want to work, they can have that. But then by excluding the audiences and only going to cold, it means that we can do 4 times as many webinars. So the first benefit of doing this, why this will make you more money, is that because you can actually make the thing get better over time and you can actually test shit. For instance, let's say you're just doing it organic all the time, like monthly, right? You have no way to actually test whether something is actually working because it's so unpredictable. If you do webinars organically and you do them monthly for your clients or for your own business, you will know that you will go through these fluctuations of like one webinar, you'll get like 2,000 signups, one you'll get 1,500, one you'll get 1,000. For some reason, some you'll get like 500 signups. And if like the show rate is dead, or you don't book any calls, or the calls are shit or whatever, you don't know why it didn't work. And then because you built everything again, right? Whereas when you do it weekly, you can actually build the most crack fire presentations, funnels, ad scripts, decks, email show up systems, and you can actually iterate this over time. So you know that the funnel converts on cold and it will convert on warm, and you can simply just make everything great once. So you have one great funnel, one great VSL. The show rate systems are the same every time. So when you get them good, you know they're going to stay good. If the deck converts, you know it's going to convert next week and the week after and the week after and the week after and the week after. And you can just take the feedback from the sales calls and put them back into the script and the emails and stuff. So the whole thing actually gets better every single time rather than just like building it from scratch every single time. So you can actually do more testing. And the second reason is that once you've done this testing, right, you can still do the webinars to warm traffic. So something that works on warm doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work on cold, but something that works on cold is still going to work on warm. So the webinar will work, the funnel will work, and you can still do it at the same cadence. So for example, with our done for you offer, what we do for our clients is that we keep the paid ads on, and then every 5 weeks we do it warm. So here's what the cadence actually looks like. You go warm and cold for the first one. So you do cold for the next one. So this is like week 1, week 2, week 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So you do the warm one first, and then the warm replay is still like you're still promoting it on your stories or whatever, or wherever your audience hangs out in your emails. And then you do one cold, and then you do another one cold. And then that week you then announce the warm one, and then you can do a warm, a cold, and a re-engagement for all the people who signed up for these ones. So you then have so many traffic sources, and this just like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. And then you just, these webinars, you just make a bucket load of money, as well as the cold ones, because you already know that this is working and profitable on paid traffic, right? So the cadence is essentially 4 cold for every 1 warm, and we never turn off the ads. The third benefit is that you can actually automate this, right? So if you do one to your organic audience, they know the date and whatever, and they'll also know that if they will be able to sniff out very quickly if you are live or not. There's always some guy first 5 minutes of the webinar saying like, oh, is this live? Like, can you say my name, or can you answer this question or whatever? But what we can also do with cold is that we can automate it. So this is what we're currently doing for clients now who have presentations that are actually working. And the reason that this is an advantage, right? Because you can still do them live, and you're obviously going to make a lot of money doing it live. But I always thought that with our done for you clients, right? I always thought in my head, we're writing the webinar script for you. We're building the deck for you. All you need to do is just turn up and present live. I personally thought it was as easy as that until we did our first webinar on webinars for our offer, and I had to do the presenting for 2 hours, and I had to carry this energy for 2 whole hours. My central nervous system pretty pretty much shut down. I'm sure it'll get easier over time, but then I was able to sympathize with clients and be like, okay, I kind of see why you might want to automate this at some point. So guess what happened? We tried our first automated webinar last week, and can you guess what the difference was? There was no difference, because we just took one of the live recordings, got the chat there from the webinar the week before, and it was literally no different. If anything, we actually had quite a good week, right? And this means that the client doesn't have to turn up, like for our clients or for your business or for your client's business or whoever's business, they don't have to turn up and present with full energy on a Sunday night or on a Wednesday night or whatever. We can literally just automate it. So we're testing softwares like Aevent. I don't know why I put AFN there, God knows why. So we're testing softwares like Aevent, so they can just jump in at the beginning to do the intro, and then also with the Q&A at the end. So you basically just don't have to do the bulk of it, and you can just do one really good presentation. And then if you obviously need to like test a new deck or whatever, you just jump in, do it live, and then take that recording. So the clients basically don't have to do this every single week, so we can actually record it. And then once you've recorded it as well, you can also start doing automated twice weekly. So you can then go from doing monthly to weekly, and once it's validated it, you can automate it, and then you can do it twice a week. So you're making 8 times as much money, and you can still do the warm ones as well. So there's literally no disadvantage whatsoever to doing this. And then what we can actually do is that we can actually scale predictably, because we're not relying on organic. We know how much we're paying for a lead. We know how much it gets us to like actually get the leads to show up. We know how many people show up every week. We know how many people apply every week. We know how many people book calls every week. We know how many people show up to the calls every week. We know how many people close every week. We roughly know how many calls the setters are going to book every week. So we literally can just be like, right, our cost to acquire a client is like, let's say $5,000. It's actually not $5,000. For a B2B offer, it could be, but for our offers, I meant to put £500. So let's say your CAC is £500, right? And let's say it costs us X amount of money to get people on the webinar as the cost per lead, right? So you can literally just be like, let's spend this much money. And once you've got the KPIs dialed in, because you've been doing it weekly and you actually have the feedback loops and you actually have a way to track it, you can just decide how much money you want to make. And as long as your KPIs and your systems are dialed, you're just like, cool, here comes the money, right? And once you've got it dialed in, the metrics don't actually fluctuate like too much. They might just be like plus or minus 5% on each metric, which can add up to be shit or it can add up to be good, but not all of them are going to go bad in one week. So you kind of know where you're going to be at. And even if they do go wrong, it's not like when you have these grand slam organic webinars. Like I was chatting to some guy the other day and he's like, yeah, I want to do a webinar next month. And he's like riding high. He needs all his eggs in one basket. He needs this webinar to work. Like you don't need to do that. You don't need to waste a webinar or take a massive bet on this organic one working for you to have a good month. It's like, if it goes wrong, it's minor. You've got like another 3 in the month to do. And if one week isn't as good as the last, it could just be like, right, it could just be an anomaly. We could have just had like bad leads. Maybe you did it on a Sunday and it was like Easter that Sunday or something like that, or something needs fixing. You can actually just go and fix it and then it will work again the next week. And the benefit of this as well is that it works as a primary or a secondary mechanism. So if you're running like a core funnel or a profile funnel or like a low ticket to high ticket funnel, you can use this, the weekly ones, as your primary mechanism or just as a bolt on to whatever you're already doing. So for example, let's say you're doing the core funnel, right? You can just retarget these people to the weekly webinar once they've opted in or they've joined your email list or whatever. And you can literally just use the sales process that you already have, like your breakout video, CRM, your whatever your closes and your setters are doing, but you can just slap a webinar in front of it. So all you have to do is build like the webinar systems, and now you have 2 funnels for the price of one. Or like if you're running a profile funnel and you want to do the organic ones or whatever, or you want to do it weekly, you just add the link in your bio like Shelby Sapp does or people like that do who do it weekly. Change your bio, you add a highlight, you use the story sequences that already work for your profile funnel, and you're sweet. Or you run a low ticket funnel. This is what Josh Gavin does. It's a sick idea. You just auto register the people who buy your low ticket product to a weekly webinar to then send them to high ticket, right? And as you can see, everything I'm talking about here, that's 31% show rate on calls, 7 piffs this week. This is the calls that we're booking from people who we tell them the price on the webinar and they get through the type form. So you can see that people are actually watching these webinars because you can iterate on the deck and make it better every single time. And you book calls with people, and if you want, you can even tell them the price. So that's 15 calls who all know the price and have all got the money because they got through the type form. 24 calls, 32 calls, 26 calls, 21 calls, right? And it's literally not just, this isn't just me doing this. Like if you're watching this video, you haven't seen any one of my videos before and you're like, who's this fucking guy talking about doing weekly webinars? If you look at people like Jeremy's Inner Circle, right? For example, they all have a daily funnel, okay? Whether that be like a core funnel or DM ads or a profile funnel or whatever. They do weekly webinars to cold, which is what we're doing. They do monthly webinars to warm, which is again what we're doing. And then they do quarterly challenges, right? And we're working on the systems and an offer for this right now. But this is a VSL that we use for the webinar and webinars. That if you want to join the waitlist, you can do so. But I'm going to play this clip for you. Hopefully you can hear this.
used webinars in order to scale up to their $1 million month.
So 8 out of the 9 people in his inner circle used webinars to take their business to $1 million month. And they were talking about weekly webinars there. Exactly what I've been telling you to do in this video. Right? So as a summary, this has been a fucking fundamental change for our business. We've been able to make our clients way more money. We've 3x'd our agency by doing this. And I'm sharing this with you because if you're doing monthly webinars and you have a webinar that works, you literally have all the infinity stones and you're not doing anything with them. You have all the Deathly Hallows. You have something that makes you a shit ton of money and you could literally just use paid advertising to make way more money with it, right? Like imagine if it was raining money outside, you wouldn't go outside once a month and kind of just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get my monthly money. You would stand out there for as long as you could with as many people as you could, with as many buckets as you could. You would catch all the money. So if you have a webinar that works, that is what it will give you. So if you found this video useful and you want me to build this funnel for you or show you how to do it, you want us to write all the SMSs, the emails, the workflows for you and show you how to do it, that's the Done With You offer. We can script, edit and run your ads for you, done for you, or we can show you how to do it. We can build and write the deck for you or show you how to do it. And we can literally build everything else that goes into the system for you, either done for you or done with you. There's going to be links in the description, okay? This top one here is for the Done For You service where we build this for you. The middle link is for advisory where we show you how to build it, either for your client's business or for your business. And the bottom link here is to join the waitlist, or potentially if you're watching this when our next webinar workshop is happening, you can just register for it here. Here's some of the results that we've got. Callum Carver, 180K. Aston Haslam. I'm just going to skip through these. Aston, Louis, Isaac, Harron, Jack, 717 Bros, Jay Carter, Mason Monaghan, Zach Morton, Tom Burt, Steve Prader, Timet, Creator Smith, Seller Circle, Victor Praga, Keesan Hart, Tristan Van Der Shoot, okay? Book a call, like, subscribe, do whatever you want, click something in the description, whether that's subscribing, liking this video if you found anything useful. Love you lots, goodbye.